Hi guys, this is Mrs. Sargent. Today we're going to be talking about what goes in your introduction box of your Foursquare and your conclusion box. So one of the things that go in your introduction box is your hook. So I'm going to read this little section right here. It says, hook your reader with a powerful introduction. The hook grabs the attention of the reader and makes them want to read more. It asks a question. Did you know there are animals that can cause harm to our environment? Usually you want to start with suspense. So when you're doing a hook, the point of the hook is to get your reader to want to read more. So you want to start out with something interesting. So they have a question. You can start with suspense. So deep in the pond lurks a dangerous and destructive creature. So this is an example that they gave from theirs. Start with a surprising fact. So instead of a question, you can start with a fact. So on this one, it says, when released in the wild, goldfish can grow into the size of a football. You could also give a statistic. So it says invasive species can cost the United States more than $120 billion a year. You can state a fact. So just like a regular fact. Many pets are released in the wild when the owners can no longer care for them. Or you can tell a story. It says inside a pond lives many abandoned goldfish whose owners no longer want to care for them. Now, usually these ones below, those are more for like if you're writing an opinion. So I would suggest if you are getting somebody to want to read what you're going to write, I would start out with something a little more vague, a little more of a question to get them to want to read more. You don't want to give them all the information from the get-go. So I would start with asking a question. So on mine, for our plan, I put the example next to it, but on our hook, since we're writing about 15 facts about snow, I put in my hook, when people think of winter, they usually think of snow. But did you know there is more to snow than it being cold, powdery, white stuff on the ground? So you notice in my hook, I didn't give too much information. I didn't give a fact necessarily. I gave kind of what people think of when they think of snow to get them to want to read more. So that's what you would put in your hook. And I worded it as a question. So that way people would be thinking, okay, what is there? What more is there to snow than it just being white, powdery stuff on the ground? Okay. Next, on this box, I put you didn't need this part because usually when you're doing an opinion, you kind of want to state your opinion in this part. But we're not doing an opinion piece. We're just doing an informative without the opinion. So I skipped down to this next part of the box where it has the introduction on ideas and topics. So on your plan, you should already have your topics filled out. And this is an example of a box that is already done. You should already have yours done. But when you're writing your thesis statement, you at least need to have your topics that you're thinking about done before you can write it. So I already have my 3 topics on here, or the main ideas of my paragraphs. So I put, today we'll be talking about the different forms of snow, it not always appearing white, then the places that hold records for snow. So literally what I did is I put what I was discussing, and I put these green ones right here because these are the 3 things that I will be discussing for my informative essay. Yours might not have exactly the same, but yours should all have to do with snow from our resource. Okay, so this is an example of what you would put in your introduction box. Now I'm going to go over here and read what you would put in your conclusion. So it says, to wrap up your writing, all good concluding paragraphs will have 3 parts. Be sure to include them all. So you start with your conclusion with a wrap it up word and restate the main idea. You're going to restate your introduction of ideas. Be sure to reword it. You don't want to say exactly the same thing that you said in your introduction of your thesis statement. You want to reword it, but you want to use the same thing, like kind of what you used to introduce it, but you're finishing it now. So you're not going to say the same thing that you would say when you're introducing it. And then it says, add a final thought that you would like to leave with your readers. It may be your opinion on the topic or something for the reader to think about in the future. So if I look at my plan, I have my conclusion box, and I left it with, as you can see, there are many interesting facts about snow. I restated my topic, but now I've already talked about what I wanted to talk about. So I'm saying it as I am wrapping it up. I'm finishing it up. So it says there are several different forms of snow. It doesn't appear white all the time. There are many places all over the world that hold records. So now I have restated the same things that I said in my introduction thesis statement, but now I'm finishing it up. So I don't need to say we'll be talking about it because I've already talked about it, but I'm just restating what I talked about. And then I put a final thought. So on my final thought, I put, I hope the next time you see snow, you can remember there's more to it than meets the eye. So I kind of wanted to just go back to the fact that there's more to snow than meets the eye. So in the beginning of my hook, I talked about there being more to it than it being cold, powdery white stuff. So my final thought, I kind of just resaid that final thought to remind people that there's more to snow than meets the eye. So that's how I finished mine out. So these are some things that go in your introduction box and your conclusion box. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, since I have my introduction box finished, I'm going to go over to my rough draft and I'm going to copy these things into my first paragraph. Okay. So on my first paragraph, I have, looking at my example, I have my hook and my thesis statement. Now with my title, I don't want to talk about my title till the end. So I'm going to just focus on putting my hook and my thesis statement right here. But their example is a problem solution format, and ours isn't really a problem solution. Ours is just giving facts. So what you would do is you would take your information from your introduction box. So I'm going to just take these and Control C. I'm copying them. Now, if you're on paper, you are just going to look at your plan while you're writing your paper. So I'm going to put I'm just going to put my facts on the page, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to copy them on there. So I'm just going to Control C on all these right here. So Control C. I'm going to make sure I have the box. Control C, Control V. So now I'm going to move these over. That way I don't get them confused with what's on my example. And I'm just going to highlight these with my mouse, and I'm going to Control X this time, and I'm going to Control V to paste it right here. Okay. And then I'm going to take this, because this is my thesis statement, and they both go in my introductory paragraph. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to highlight it. If I can, I'm going to highlight it all, and I forgot my T, but it's okay because I can add it here in a second. Okay. Now, if I look over my example, I want to make sure my first paragraph has an indentation. So if you notice on this part, they've indented it over. Now on here, you can't push tab to indent. So normally you want to put 5 spaces. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on your next line, you don't need to have your indentation. So now I'm going to delete these old boxes right here so they're not in the way. And then I am going to get this ready for my next one. So I'm going to skip a line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I am going to stop for this day. All I wanted to discuss today was how to do your introduction paragraph plan and your conclusion part of your plan, and then show you how to write your first paragraph that has your hook and your thesis statement. Okay, so I hope that helps you when you are writing yours, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.